New at 4, President Joe Biden will also make a trip to the Badger State later this week. On Thursday, he'll travel to Superior to talk about Bidenomics and investing in America. The area is receiving $1 billion in federal infrastructure money to replace the Blatnick Bridge there. The last time the president was in Wisconsin was in December when he visited Milwaukee. We don't yet know the details of exactly where or when the president will be in Superior.